So we're going to work on this piece right now, the base of the sofa. I'm going to isolate that for a second. So we get this piece, we extracted that, and obviously it's missing some faces. I'm going to only fill in the faces on the sides, so I'm going to use my Append to Polygon tool. The Append to Polygon tool works very easily. You just select it, and you click on the edge that you want to fill, the area that you want to fill in. So click on one of these edges, and then go all the way across, and click on the other one, and press enter. Same thing with the other side. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back to my get out of the isolation mode. Press 3. Press 3. So this is obviously not working. You can tell. What I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna add some detail, and before I do that, I'm gonna make sure that I isolate it first and add some edge loops. One over here, and then one over here, and one down here. And I'm going to explain why I'm doing this. I'm just going to go ahead and select this one. See, in the back, we're never going to see it, so I'm just going to leave it open. So I'm selecting this edge loop, and I'm going to press R to scale. I'm going to use my scale tool here, and I'm going to use my Z and move this back just a bit. And then I'm going to use my X to move this also back. So that's kind of like a little insert here. I'm going to go ahead and press 3. So now I need to sharpen this area. So I'm going to go and get that tool again, insert edge loop tool, and add an edge loop over here. Here very closely. Another one over here. So we're getting closer. So in this case we have some sort of a base. I could add a little bit more detail. I could add detail around this area here, since we want to keep this sharp. I can add another group here and then make this a little sharper. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the wireframe on shaded for a second just to see our result. So that looks good. I'm going to go back, and sometimes you might see that it's stretching a little bit. You can tell. So there's not much detail here. So what I'm going to do is add another group of loops, one kind of close to the borders, something like that. So it will keep the shape cleaner. So if I go object mode, let me just show you right now. It's like, so now you don't see that kind of crazy, weird shading, that effect that was happening just before. So let's get back to our sofa. Now we're having a little bit of a, we need to kind of line these up a little bit. And also I'm just going to improve the design. I'm going to select all these vertices, and Control deselect those guys and move these down, something like that. Now I'm going to select these guys, deselect the ones we don't need, and move them also down a little bit. Okay, press 5. So this is okay. So we have the base, we have the back. Now it's time to make the cushions. So how to make the cushions? We could start with a cube. So I'm going to work on a cube. I'm going to turn on the wireframe on shaded again and create a cube. We can make it out here. Now I want this cube to be perfectly lined up with our sofa. The best thing to do when you do something like that is you select everything and press 1. So you go back to the hard shells. It's easier because then you know exactly where the borders are. Now I'm going to select this guy and move it back in this area, and I'm going to line it up with everything else. As you can see, these are a little bit off. So let's just see how it looks when it's yeah, so these are a little bit off. So I'm going to select these vertices, all of these, and move them closer, just barely touching. Do another one. Do the same thing for these guys. Okay, that looks good. And object mode. And now I'm going to this guy. I'm going to go back and press 1 for these other two pieces and select this. And it's very easy. You just select the vertices, you enable the axis of the movement that you want to do, and then go V. Now if you can't see very clearly, you have to go and line these up with this guy up here. So select that, press V, click. Now this is way too accurate. I mean, you guys can also eyeball it, but it's nice to kind of use the snapping tools and just utilize all that since we know how to use it now. Go up. I'm going to hold down the spacebar, click on the My area, and go My Top View. Press the wireframe unshaded, select these vertices, do the same thing, V, and V. It's a pretty deep couch. It's like probably the proportions are a little bit off, but we can always refine it later. Turn off the wireframe unshaded, and I can tell it's a little bit deep. I could potentially, let's move these back a little bit and then select. And if we want to resize the entire thing, we need to do it like carefully. Select this guy, move it a little bit back. Select that guy, move all this over here. Move this away. So select these vertices and move them and snap them back to their initials, to the back of the base. Now this one here, how can we bring it back? I would move the pivot point to this area, to the corner. So a fast way to do it is to hold down the D, and here's the pivot point. I'm holding down the D key. Hold down the V, middle mouse, draw around this area and snap it. Now select this guy, move it, and snap it just right on the edge here. Now, I'm going to go to my right view, actually to my front view. Select the bottom vertices and move them and snap them just down here in this area. So I'm always doing this snapping. Select these guys, move them, snap them all the way to this area. Go all the way to the other side. These are fine. Okay. Perspective. Now we're good to start with the cushions. Now the cushions, we want 3 of them, and I can use my edge loop tool. Instead of using the edge loop tool randomly, I'm going to go ahead and add and just divide it into 3 pieces. So I can go and say I went to my insert edge loop tool settings, and here I'm going to say multiple edge loops, and we need 2 of these, 2 edges, so we can split it into 3. And reset the tool. We don't need any more divisions. And now I know that this is equally measured, so I can select these faces and delete them. Why am I deleting them? Because if I finish this cushion, it will be the perfect size, and then I can just duplicate it. But we need to fill in this area. So let me fill in this area, and then I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to go ahead and start a new one for the cushions. So let's just append to polygon tool, click edge to edge, enter, and you might see something like this happening sometimes, this shadow effect. This is because the normals are stretching, so we want to go back to normals, harden edge, save the scene, and save it as today's date, 15, last 2 digits of the year, 2 digits of the month, and 26 underscore sofa 01. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video now and